Is this U.S. drug maker has put a price tag of more than $800 on a pinworm treatment that sells in the United Kingdom for $1, well, actually for less than $1 a pill. It's £1.75 for 4 pills. In the United States, we're charging over $400 for 1 pill. 1 pill in the UK is, what, maybe 75 cents? And you can buy it over the counter? So why is it that Americans get screwed like this? Why is it that when Americans want to save money for retirement, that they have to put it in a 401k approved kind of plan where the banksters get to take, skim money off the top, so that the average 30-year-old who starts putting money into a 401k now, by the time they retire, will have paid over $100,000 in bank fees? Why is it that credit card companies can get away with charging almost 30% interest? Why is it that student loans in the United States can't be discharged by bankruptcy? Why is it that since 1980, the bottom half of American working people have not seen any raise whatsoever, although the cost of living has exploded, whereas the top 10%, 1%, and 0.001% have seen increases in their income of around 200, 400, and 600% respectively? Why is that? I believe that you can track the vast majority of these things back to basically 2 things, and they're tied together, and they're part of a package called Reaganomics. And the one is, cutting taxes on the very wealthy and on corporations, which, Trump and Paul Ryan are going to try and do again. They're going to try and repeat Reagan, only even worse. And that then leads to this massive inequality. But the rigging of the system, all these things that I've described, these are the ways that the system is rigged. The banksters wanted something that they could turn into their derivatives, that the underlying product wouldn't go bad like they did with mortgages. So they lobbied Congress to get a law passed in 2005 that bankruptcy could not be applied to student loans. Now, the only other thing that you can't discharge in bankruptcy is taxes. And the IRS will even negotiate that. But student loans? Nope, sorry. This was just a plain old flat out gift to the banksters. The ability to import drugs into the United States, it's illegal. It's not illegal in any other country, to the best of my knowledge. Certainly not illegal in any European Union country. So why is it illegal here? Gift to the drug companies. Why do the banks get to rip us off? Why is the tax code organized so that if you want to have some savings beyond Social Security, you're going to have to pay banksters for? Gift to the banking industry from our politicians. Now, why are our politicians giving out all these gifts? Because by and large, they have to. Now, this is not to excuse their behavior. And let me just be very, very clear. This kind of behavior is like the norm in Republican circles, and it happens in Democratic circles, but it's 50-50 more or less. But what has happened is that because the Supreme Court in 1976, for the first time in the history of our country, Lewis Powell wrote this decision, Buckley versus Vallejo. The Supreme Court, up until 1976, from George Washington's administration until 1976, giving money to a politician, whether you're a corporation or a billionaire, actually giving money to a politician starting in 1907 with the Tillman Act, which Teddy Roosevelt pushed through, was a federal felony. Tillman Act got overturned with Citizens United. That had to do with corporations. But individuals from back in the day until 1976, individuals giving money to politicians or political campaigns or running ads on behalf of politicians and things like that was considered a behavior which could be regulated. Regulated behavior. And then along came this Buckley case. And in the Buckley case, Lewis Powell, who in 71 wrote the Powell memo in which he said to his friends at the Chamber of Commerce, we've got to start getting political. We've got to take over the courts. We've got to take over Congress. We've got to take over colleges and universities. We've got to create think tanks so that we can fill the news with our point of view. We've got to take over the news media. He laid it all out. He wrote this decision in 1976 saying, if, one of my billionaire buddies decides that he wants to give money to a politician, that's no longer a behavior that can be regulated by government. That is free speech, which is protected by the First Amendment of the Constitution. And that was the opening that led directly to, in 2010, Citizens United, which led directly to this situation that we have here, where Americans are basically getting ripped off everywhere they turn. I mean, it's just astonishing. There's almost no dimension of life. Even you think in retirement, oh, gee, I think I'll go on Medicare. Try to figure out how to fill in the holes that Republicans drilled into Medicare. It only covers, Part B only covers 80% of costs, right? So how do you cover that remaining 20%? Well, there's all these private for-profit companies that are happy to take your money. And it takes a scientist to figure out what the hell it is they're selling. And then you say, oh, well, Medicare Advantage, that sounds like a plan. That takes you out of Medicare. And that's just like, one example of, but it's like in every dimension of our lives, we look around and it's like, there's a new way for somebody to make some money off us. The American working people are basically, they're viewed by both the political class and the billionaire and corporate class that owns the political class as basically money machines to transfer wealth up to the top. And then you get Republicans running around going, oh, we can't raise the minimum wage because then, companies are going to go out of business, et cetera. No, sorry. If wages at the top had not been going up so fast as a consequence of Reagan's tax cuts, wages at the bottom would have continued going up the way they did from 1780 until 1980.